The last time I checked, Nigeria runs a federal system where powers are constitutionally shared between the federal, state, and the local government. Constitution's second schedule makes it clear. The exclusive list for the federal government, which covers defense, security, foreign affairs, customs, aviation, currency. And then the concurrent list for shared responsibilities that covers education, healthcare, agriculture, and a lot more. On paper, the revenue formula looks tilted in favor of the federal government. 52.68% to the federal government, 26.72% to states, and 20.6% to local government. But in reality, net allocations tell a different story. With 13% derivation, VAT distribution skewed in favor of states and local governments, and statutory deductions, more money actually flows to the state than to the center. The numbers are staggering. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, between January 2011 and May 2025, Nigeria shared over 110 trillion across all tiers. Of that, 69 trillion, representing 63%, went to states and local government, while federal government received 37%. Broken down by geopolitical zones, the North Central received 10.2 trillion, the Northeast received 8.8 trillion, Northwest 13.1 trillion, Southeast 7.3 trillion, South-South 18.2 trillion, and the Southwest 11.5 trillion. No state received anything less than 1 trillion. So here is the uncomfortable truth. While the public lashes out at Abuja, the real custodians of resources are the governors. They control state allocations and local government allocations via the joint local government account. They collect your personal income tax, and 85% of VAT, soon to be 90%, goes to them. For every 1,000 naira shared, how many classrooms were built? How much was used to provide clean water? How many hospitals were built or remodeled? How much was spent to drive economic growth? The governors, I dare say, are getting away with blue mother, and we, the citizens, are their accomplices through silence. We rage against the FG, but ignore the failings in our backyard. Accountability should not stop in Abuja. It must extend to the states where lives are most directly impacted. The tools to demand answers exist. Reports like BudgIT State of State analysis provides the data. What is missing is the will. If we don't ask hard questions, governors will continue to take the citizens for a ride because they know nothing will happen. It's time to prove them wrong. Zuma.
You know, the first thing that stood out to me is the fact that one will think there is a huge difference between the state and local government allocation. And this explains why a lot of state governments are so bent on holding on to the local government funds. And also why there's not a lot of development happening at the local government level. An average Nigerian does not understand the separation of roles and responsibilities across the 3 tiers of government. I was talking to someone recently, and then she was like, oh, this road is so bad. I don't know what Sanwo-Olu is doing. I was like, okay, you think it's Sanwo-Olu that will come and do your streets road? Did it occur to you that this is a local government function? And then she was like, oh, she literally doesn't understand. Yes, I agree with you. The state governors, they are getting away with not just blue, also red model. Like, it's, nobody is calling them out. In the past 1-2 years, right, they've been getting a lot of money, and we haven't been seeing commensurate impact at the grassroots level. Again, you guys need to do significantly more.
Well, there's this risk of all of us agreeing to this, because in short, it is largely very true. But I want to throw a bit of a curveball here. There's something about us not forgetting our history. Nigeria has not moved too far from the mindset that we had when we had military rule. And remember that military rule was command and control, very top down.
Yeah.
So that is the mindset that all of us still have. And then there's also a second thing about Nigeria not yet being a nation, but in a country of nations. So for example, many times, despite the fact that I pay taxes in Lagos, if I want to talk about Lagos matter, they will say, go back to Anambra. We actually need to come to grips with that. Because your state government, really, is not the state government of where your ancestors came down from the trees. Your state government is where you live and pay taxes, where you reside, where you contribute. And that is the key thing. And as long as we have this ethnic politics that is dividing everybody, we will not have that sense of ownership for us to hold certain levels of government to account. But having said that, I want to draw attention to a survey that my organization did before the 2023 elections. What we found was that when it came to federal issues, especially at the presidential level, 100% of the respondents had responses, knew what they wanted to talk about. But when it came to governors, only 30%. That's a problem. Also legislative. For legislative, it was only 16%. So we're not even going to talk about local government because, okay, let me just say it was 6%. Wow. So Nigerians, and so what you've chosen as a topic is very important because that advocacy needs to start and needs to be sustained. But so when you said, is it the will that is missing, I'll disagree with you there. It's missing information. And I think I think a good part of information is the ability to also tell when certain state governments or local governments are doing good work. So for example, the LGA chairman in Maryland is currently resurfacing roads within various estates in Maryland. We have to call it out and say, okay, we're done. You understand? At the same time, when we have governors that are not doing good work, Charlie, I'm looking at you, then we should be able to call them out and say, guy, sit up.
I mean, the information you gave is eye-opening, to be frank with you, and I do agree that we should call the state governors out more. But the issue of, if I'm advocating even for this, like a local government to do more, which one? Even states, which state should I be advocating for? Should it be the state of origin I fill on my forms, Anambra, where I do not live? Or should it be the one where I live and I'm directly affected on a daily basis? You know, if every form I fill, the local government I'm filling, well, the important forms is not my address, but where my state of origin is. How do I remember what my local government is, the one where I live currently? So there are those challenges. I think we need to maybe have uniformity in terms of how we're saying things are distributed in a way that the public also understands. And we're saying this is the unit of government, which the lowest unit is actually the local government. But it doesn't appear that way in anything else. So the question is, who is going to change that? Who is going to make it apparent? I guess that's us. But where do we start from? That would be with the information, breaking it down and deciding which state is the state you're focusing on, your state of origin or your state of residence.
As long as the citizens are not aware of their rights, they can ask questions. I was asking today about the disbursement of funds to poor households, and I was asking, how do we verify this? 300 and something billion has been transferred. How do we verify this? Like, what is the process for us to say, okay, there's a dashboard, or there's a platform where we can go and say, okay, this particular family received this, right? So you can't just come and just give us numbers and say, okay, we should just take it, right? And I think I've also said this on this table before. One of my advocates is the fact that everybody focuses on the presidency, and I think Tacheta kind of explained why that is. Everybody, once it's during an election, people vote for the president and they vote for the parties under the president, and then the same thinking in which they vote is the same thing that they use to, demand accountability, which is president. And the governors are hiding behind that. Like Zuma said, they've received so much money for the past 2 years, and we can't see anything. My question now is, apart from the people holding them accountable, which is not going to happen because they have no idea, what is the role of the federal government that is releasing these funds to make sure that these funds are actually getting to the people?
But what he's saying, the federal government can actually take it on itself to also say, hey, the hit is on us, but this is the money that, in a more public way that's going to your different states.
We have legal precedents, Amaka. We have legal precedents. The federal government can't do that much. I mean, during the Jonathan government, the Governors Forum, which used to be very powerful, actually sued the federal government when Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala tried to
keep some money aside.
Keep some money aside and then enforce accountability. So constitutionally, for those who know me, I'm not a fan of the 1999 Constitution because that's Decree 28 of 1998. It's not a constitution that has properly taken into account our realities and our proclivities.
A friend of mine sent me a message he got from his council in the UK that broke down for every £1,000 they received, how they spent it. They spent it on childcare, infrastructure, street lights. They broke it down. And he was asking, do we have similar in Nigeria? And I started laughing.
What you said speaks to our culture. I once was the president of a women's association, like in the church, a women's group. And when I tried to demand accountability from the past financial secretary, she resigned and says,
How
why
dare you?
Yes. Yes, now how can you, be asking me to give accounts? That means you're saying that you are suspecting that I stole. Yeah, so that's culture of being accountable when you're a public servant is really not there.
Every day for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. Presumes that the owners are vigilant and ready to reclaim what belongs to them.
To demand accountability, you need the watchmen.
Yeah.
And what happens when the watchmen are the reason we are being laid bare to ridicule? Because again, that's another problem.